Imagine this. You wake up one day and someone hands you a stack of cash. Literally, more money than you've ever had in your entire life. But there's a catch. They say, use this wisely. I'll be back soon, and I want to see what you've done with it. What would you do? Would you spend it, save it, or invest it? That's the choice the three servants faced in a story Jesus told called The Parable of the Talents. Trust me, this story is still just as powerful and relevant today as it was in the days when Jesus told the story. Would you like to find out what happened? If so, let's dive in. All right. So one day, Jesus is sitting with his disciples, teaching them about God's kingdom. He was telling them how the kingdom of heaven is like a man going on a journey. This man was super wealthy, and he decided to entrust his riches to three of his servants while he was away. He gave them all what was called talents. Now, back in those days, a talent wasn't just a skill or ability, it was a huge amount of money. Think of it as millions of dollars today. So just before the man heads out on the journey, the man calls his three servants and gives each of them a portion of his wealth. To the first servant, he gave 5 talents. To the second, he gave 2 talents. And to the third, he gave 1 talent. The master didn't tell them exactly what to do with the talents. He just handed it over to them and headed out on his journey. Now, what each of these 3 servants did differently with their talents is the part of the story that gets interesting. The first servant, after receiving his 5 talents, takes the 5 talents and immediately starts putting his talents to work. Jesus didn't say exactly what he invested in, but let's just say for the story's sake that he invested in some farmland, or started a business, or bought and sold goods. We don't know the exact details, however. What we do know is, by the time the master comes back, he had doubled the money, and those 5 talents had become 10. Now, the second servant. He wasn't a slacker either. He takes his 2 talents, puts them to work, and boom, he doubles it also. 2 talents become 4. However, when it came to the third servant, after looking at his 1 talent and perhaps upset that his master only gave him 1 talent whilst he gave others more, he probably said to himself, "What if I lose this 1 talent? Or what if I mess up with it? My master's going to be so mad if I make the wrong move." So, what did he do? He dug a hole in the ground and buried the talent. That way, in his mind, he again probably thought, at least no risk, no effort, no gain, and my master might just be happy with that. Fast forward a few months or years later as Jesus continues to narrate the story. Time's up, and the master returns from his journey, and it's time for a little show and tell. The master calls the 3 servants to report what they've done with the talent he gave them. The first servant steps forward, proud as can be. He says, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. Look, I've gained 5 more." The master was delighted. "Well done, good and faithful servant," he says. "You've been faithful with a little, so I'll put you in charge of much. Come and share in my happiness." The second servant walks up next. "Master, you gave me 2 talents, and guess what? I've gained 2 more." Once again, the master was very delighted. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little, so I'll put you in charge of much. Come and share in my happiness." Then along came the third servant. He steps forward, probably with a bit of hesitation, and says, "Master, I knew you were a hard man. You reap where you don't sow, and you gather seed where you haven't scattered seed. I was afraid of losing my talent, so I went and hid in the ground till you returned. Here, take back what's yours." Now, how do you think the master reacted to this? Spoiler alert, he wasn't happy. He called the servant wicked and lazy, and said, "You could have at least put the money in the bank, so I'd earn some interest on it." Then the master took the 1 talent and gave it to the servant who had 10, saying, "To everyone who has, more will be given, but to the one who has nothing, even what he has will be taken away." And he threw the servant? He's thrown out, left in the darkness. So, what's the point of this story? Jesus wasn't just talking about talents or money. The main point Jesus was addressing in this parable was about life. Jesus is saying that God has given each of us something valuable: our time, our skills, our opportunities, our resources. And he's asking, what will you do? Or what are you doing with what I've given you? Will you take risks, step out in faith and make it count? Or will you bury your God-given gifts because you're afraid? Here's 3 things we can learn from the parable of the talents. 1. We're all entrusted with something in our lifetime. Whether it's a lot or a little, God has given each of us talents to use wisely. 2. Fear is one major thing that holds us back. The third servant missed out on something amazing because he let fear control his decisions and thought process. And 3, faithfulness matters in all we do. God isn't asking us for perfection. All he's asking us for is effort and trust. The good news is, God is a generous master. When we step out in faith and do our best with what we've been given by him, he multiplies our efforts and rewards us abundantly. So here's the question: what's your talent or gifting? Maybe you're great at connecting with people. Maybe you're an artist, a teacher, a business person, or just someone who wants to help others. Whatever it is, don't bury it. Use it. Start small if you need to, but take that first step. And if you're still not sure what to do, pray about it. Ask God to show you how you can use your gifts to make a difference. Remember, the world needs what you have to offer. Don't bury your gifts. Go out there and make them count. And just before you go, if you resonate with this story, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more inspiring stories like this. God bless.